this deliberation on this resolution later. We have guys, we have some breaking news. We have some breaking news for you. And so, relations between the United States and China have become very strained over some developments in South Africa. Chinese influence in South Africa has grown to concern to where their GDP has been completely taken over. And China is taking up increasingly more businesses and land within South Africa, which has raised concerns to the United States. This has caused the United States to conspire with the country of Lesotho to invade South Africa, which has been taken over by China. And as you can see, the president of South Africa is very confused. And relations are all so basically, your country has been invaded by the United States, which tried to get rid of any influence in South Africa. And it conspired with the country of Lesotho to conduct a military invasion within South Africa. And they have to have our beautiful president.
Of course. So I'm the President of the United States, and I'm here to support the legitimate, rightful colonization of South Africa by our country. I don't like this person here, but I will allow them to do themselves.
Hi, my name is Yumi, and I am the leader of China, the superior country, obviously. And I think this is a blatant violation of my sovereignty and my ability to make relationships with other people as a sovereign and private country. This is completely preposterous. They're just jealous at how successful we are at BRICS.
And I'm the president of South Africa.
No, you don't have the right to speak anymore. I'm sorry. This is a debate between China, the United States, South Africa does not have a
I mean, I think we can agree both know, actually I know what's the best for you. I'm obviously concerned about the profits I made from our business deals, and therefore I believe that this is really hypocrisy. You must defend the integrity of the Chinese businesses in South Africa.
No, we have it too. We're freedom in South Africa through our colonization. This deal with China is communism, guys. Communism. This is not what the United States can. That doesn't matter.
So I think everyone is about time in the world realize that you talk about liberty and democracy is a complete farce. They're simply exploiting other countries for natural and financial resources to expand their own markets. Whereas China is the only one who actually cares about the well-being of those countries through investment.
The only thing China cares about is profit, correct?
The only thing no one cares about is oil and diamonds. Oh my God!
That's correct, freedom.
It's in the middle of this fight. USA who's going to go to South Africa. But what does South Africa have to say?
We don't know that they're in China. I'm not member of that.
Thank you. Are you guys open to any POIs? Are there such in the House? We'll have President of the United States, Mr. Joe Biden, take a stand. Please, sir, if you would approach the podium. Okay, any delegates wishing to raise a point of information to President Biden? We'll have the United States. We will have the United States, followed by the UK, followed by South Africa, followed by Burkina Faso, followed by Niger, followed by China, followed by Algeria, followed by Germany, followed by Iran, and that will be all for now. Delegation of the United States, please rise and state your points.
The glorious President of the United States agreed that the invasion of South Africa is the only way to ensure the freedom of all, the stoppage of the communist endeavors of China all around the world.
Of course, that is a fantastic point, and I think the most brilliant thing that has been said in this room during the whole conference.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation from the UK, have recognized, please rise and state your points.
The President of the U.S. agrees that the help of the UK as the United Kingdom has previous experience of colonizing South Africa and is willing to stop the spread of communism around the world.
It's immensely appreciated, and President Joe Biden is very thankful for everything that he is doing.
Republic of Turkey, you have been recognized, please rise and state your points.
The President of USA agreed that if the delegation does not invade USA, then China will increase its economic colonialism by colonizing all other countries that are fighting against it.
Of course, we must ensure that this debt to China isn't used as a tool to take the liberty and freedom of these African nations. That's what America is doing here, spreading freedom.
Delegation of South Africa, you have been recognized, please rise and state your points.
Excuse me, the immoral President, can you at least give some respect for our nation? Africa has much more country than yours. You know, at least give some respect for our African nations that they served for the last years.
No,
In the order? The order? Well, don't you see that you're a immoral country for the whole world?
happens that we're protecting our country. We're protecting the culture from the influence of the Chinese. They're trying to erase our history and replace it with communism, and we're not going to allow that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. And please rise and state your points.
This is the benefits of the U.S. its own hypocrisy. In the U.S. Constitution, it says so much about freedom of people, teaching freedom as a whole, that the going are totally in favor of intersectionality, exactly the opposite, which the president is doing only through the trades.
No, we're protecting the freedom of South Africa. So if you actually look at it from this other perspective, China is the one that's trying to harass South Africa, and all we're doing is providing them the resources they need so that they can be liberated, of course, under U.S. supervision. So it is not at all inconsistent with any of the U.S.'s past actions or its constitution.
The law of order.
That would be order, Delegate.
So the president of the USA is claiming that it's only doing this for the freedom of the South Africa. So why is it conflict when the debate is mainly invaded?
Urgent action was needed because of the imminent threat from the Chinese party, Mr. President of China. That cannot be trusted under any circumstances, and we have to do this to protect South Africa. No other choice.
Does the president agree that taking the Chinese off of South African land is in fact the only way to end colonialism there?
Of course, thank you for that sensible point. Exactly what the President of the United States is trying to say here. Thanks for actually understanding what President Joe Biden is saying.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegation of China, you have been recognized, please rise and state your points.
How can the United States justify this blatant violation of the principle of state sovereignty and international law, which constitutes a crime of aggression, violating the Rome Statute and under the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court?
Well, the United States does not believe that any of its actions configures a crime per se. We prefer to view it as a necessary intervention. It's we're sending aid to one of our allies. This may be in a forceful way, but we are certainly not violating any international treaties.
So the United States is calling invading a fellow BRICS member, South Africa, calling that aid, and is invading the state just because it independently conducted its own foreign policy and trade policy.
Its foreign policy was definitely the furthest thing from independence that I have ever seen. The delegate of China is extremely conniving. They have a president that has set all this up in a manner that they no longer have any control over their foreign policy, over the domestic affairs, because they are beholden to China's debt. So what we are doing is really liberating them from the debt, liberating them from this neo-colonialism, and spreading freedom across the world. America has always done.
Delegate of Algeria, please rise to state your point.
Is the president meant to make aware that if it invades South Africa, all members of the BRICS will go look back and do all the policies in place?
First of all, the United States is definitely not scared at all of China and its big threats, much less of the other countries in BRICS. And I would like to clarify that being the best nation in the world and setting the example for every other country to follow is most certainly not concerned about any reciprocal actions. And I'd like to clarify further that this is not an invasion, but rather a helpful intervention.
Delegation of Germany, have your recognized.
President, your country has a huge history of supporting and financing and taking over different countries with the excuse that it will solve everything. Different Brazil exists, which the United States helped to establish a military dictatorship in 1864, which had tremendous consequences for the quality of life of citizens. So, with this real life example, does the United States think that it should get rid of this God complex and recognize that not all countries are begging for their help?
Well, while countries might not be begging for our help, they certainly need it. We have lots of experience, as I pointed out, with these types of affairs. So we know when a country is in need of intervention, and South Africa is clearly in need of intervention. And while, yes, historically, some of them might have not went as ideally as they could have, that does not preclude the United States moral obligation to take these actions and at least try to protect the Republic of South Africa.
In the whole order?
Delegation of Gabon, please rise.
How is the occupation of South Africa by China communist? Does the president know the meaning of the word, or were you speaking when it was taught to you?
China is led by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. So the fact that it's literally in China's government's name is a very clear indicator of the presence of communism in China, and the delegate would certainly refer the delegate of Gabon, is it, to what is it? Sorry, delegate, I cannot read. But to ensure that they are literate in domestic and foreign policy. Communism is China, and China is communism. They're intertwined, they're linked. You can't have China without communism, and you can't have communism without China, and that is the United States' official belief. We have China still. Unfortunately, there's still China.
agree that unprepared to by defining China shows even more how much a bad idea invade not even have what to do after it.
Thank you, Delegate, for pointing that out. For those of you who are not aware what communism is, it relies on the non-existence of money and the non-existence of social class, and therefore the non-existence of government. Three things of which China possesses. We are a Chinese communist-led party state, not a communist state, because there is no such thing as a communist state. Thank you.
Glorious President Xi Jinping, what is the policy of the People's Republic of China regarding military intervention to aid our fellow BRICS member against this abhorrent intervention, like invasion?
China is more than willing to defend South Africa in this absolutely deplorable situation. Thank you.
Does the president realize that its attempt to drown South Africa in its communist ideals may lead to the death of a lot of people and aggression in general in South Africa?
Thank you for reminding me that Americans don't know what communism is. By engaging in trade with China, we are not engaging in communist practices. South Africa is in fact engaging in capitalist practices due to the help of China, because we are helping them fund industries and fund commerce that will allow them to make more money and grow as a country. All that China has ever done is help countries of the global south to develop and reach a level to which they can therefore be independent, independent from the Western imperialism that the world has been plagued with. Thank you.
Is the president not aware that by bringing communism, with its myriad flaws, to South Africa, the president is only delaying the development of South African nation that has been pledged in this committee so many times by delaying its trade with Western nations and nations from the entire world?
Let's compare what the UK and China have done to help South Africa. The UK colonized South Africa, completely exploited it for its natural resources, murdered its civilians and native population, and instituted an order in which people were segregated, in which people were oppressed on mass levels and subject to poverty. What has China done? China has provided South Africa with money and investments to recuperate itself and stand as a competent and powerful country in the world scene, as, for example, BRICS as an association aids it. So no, I think it's incredibly hypocritical and ironic that the UK makes this point, as all China has ever done is help, contrary to the Western nations.
Is the president not aware that the system of apartheid only started radically when the United Kingdom left South Africa? This is because this was completely brought by the South African nation. This is why the United States and United Kingdom need to collaborate to take China out of South Africa and colonize them once again to bring freedom to the South African population.
Let's recap. Who was the white minority in South Africa composed of? The English and the Dutch. Thank you.
Seeing as the US is about to invade South Africa due to China, would the president of China be willing to withdraw to spare the women, men, and children of South Africa another Vietnam War?
I think we are shifting the blame unnecessarily on China. China, unlike the US, has not completely plagued the world with military bases representing its own country. The association that China has with South Africa is almost entirely economic through associations such as BRICS. And therefore, no, I think by the US invading South Africa, they're doing anything but having China leave. In fact, by invading South Africa, they are worsening the financial situation of the country and therefore making it so South Africa needs more aid from China. So what the US is doing is completely counterintuitive. I will not be retracting Chinese presence from the country.
Sir, don't you think that
The joke I'll try to go Joe Biden is in that it's a complete blasphemy to invade a country, going completely against its cause and believing in a really, really much, in a really, really worst way, such as it did with Syria, Afghanistan, and South Korea. And by invading South Africa, it's only bring worse results to our future and our resolution of neoliberalism. That's why please, I plead to dedicate some words to Mr. Donald Trump. Please come back. We need you. Thank you.
Delegate.
Okay.
Don't.
It's okay. Uh, Back to what I was saying. I think it is very ironic and very critical for Western countries like the US and the UK to be concerned about neo-colonialism now, being that all they have done for the past centuries, colonies other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate to the Healthcare and Congress. Does the President agree that it is simply only aiding South Africa? Does the President agree that it is simply only aiding South Africa through economic and political aid, as South Africa was previously exploited the United Kingdom during colonization and was in shambles with an extremely unstable government, which was known for being corrupt. And now it's only helping and only aiding it to come back and to be able to be independent.
Yes, thank you. This wonderful comparative brought by the delegate is abundantly clear. After its thorough relations with the UK, with the Netherlands, and the US, through colonization and imperialism, South Africa ruins. After beginning in trade with China, South Africa has become one of the most powerful countries in the global south. Thank you.
And thank you, Delegate. Delegation of your ready with Dr. Ramirez,
President, I didn't catch learning.
you lead a country that, as of 2024, has internet censorship.
He just very recently was accused of having camps detaining people. Therefore, this proves that your country is extremely outdated. So, do you really believe that invading South Africa is the best way to make your South Africa develop?
Multiple corrections to be made. Thank you for that point, Germany. I don't think Germany has any sort of space to talk when it comes to human rights abuses. I also firmly believe that these accusations made about BRAMUN shall not be credited to any extent, as it is a serious committee and a serious institution that does not tolerate discrimination. And lastly, this idea of freedom of speech and of censorship is only pointed out and criticized when it's in China. But when other countries go out of their way to make sure people are not informed about political issues, such as, for example, the war on drugs in the US, all of a sudden it's okay. Thank you.
Not a law and order?
Okay, like, Germany, the president chairman.
Criticize that it was accused of having.
Allegedly.
Law and order?
Like, the bond have, you guys can take your point.
Does the president recognize that China didn't gain influence in the nation through force? Instead, it did through the opportunities of capitalism, which the USA so strongly defends. Yet, the USA is trying to use this as an opportunity to colonize the nation and justify it by making China seem like the villain once again.
Thank you very much. Absolutely everything that was said in this speech is completely and utterly correct. Thank you for continuously pointing out the imperialist and hypocritical ways of thinking in American and English rhetoric. Thank you.
Other delegates. Okay, thank you, Mr. Singh.
So you, thank you.
Okay, guys, everybody round of applause for. President of South Africa, please approach the podium. Mind you, delegation of the South African president has no say in what happens in their country. So now we'll be listening for the first time. Okay, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, you have 2 minutes. Yeah, okay, Mr. President, about 2 minutes, your time starts now.
As the president of the Union of South Africa, I am disgusted about the actions that have occurred in our country. At no point in this whole invasion he had a say in what was happening in our homeland. The USA invaded, they're now fighting with China, and at no point did they so that the country they're invading to talk about what is happening to us, what will happen to us. I would also like to say we are welcoming Chinese aid, and we are disgusted by the actions of the United States. At no point we do not welcome the United States invasion. We are condemning them for their actions, and yes, we welcome Chinese aid, also because we are part of the BRICS against the trust market. We also I just get it our colonialism, also to do with the UK and like all these others who are very traumatized. Not really. So as a president of South Africa, I would just like to say how big of an offense I have taken after all of this. And it's actually by these countries. We condemn the United States government and President Joe Biden to welcome China.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Our three delegates would like to make POIs for Mr. Ramaphosa. Okay, please raise your flags high now. We'll have delegation of Canada, followed by Gabon, followed by Algeria, followed by Indonesia, followed by China, followed by Burkina Faso, followed by Nigeria, followed by South Africa, followed by Turkey, followed by the UK, and followed by the United States. That was y'all. Okay, delegation of Canada, 500 heads, 3 presentation points.
By China. It will be that, therefore, we also recommend our relations with our neighbors. As a president of South Africa, I would say at no point in time to welcome either of these countries into our own affairs. We are welcoming China's aid because of the great military power that the United States holds, and in between these two opponents, we would be taking China's side. That does not mean that it is like permanently welcome them into our country.
Thank you, delegate. Delegation. Delegate, sorry, please rise.
Communism promotes development based in economic system.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, delegate, for now the order. Delegation of Gabon, you have the recognized the presidency.
Mr. President, keeping in mind the contrast between the support made in China and the destruction of South African society from the U.S., what would you recommend that the delegates do moving forward?
Can you please repeat the question?
Keeping in mind the contract in the United States, the act done by, what should keep in mind of selling people.
Please allow us to keep in mind that at any point, either of these governments ask us for our opinion on how to move forward. So please keep in mind that also we are not asking them to come in, they are coming in on their own accord. And so keep in mind that we're being affected by both governments, but in this situation, we are definitely more against the USA.
Is the president taking into account that the Chinese aid, which has been provided to many nations, such as Algeria, has massively improved the economic system in the nation? For example, China represents $6 billion of trade per year for Algeria. Is the president willing to welcome in that trade?
Yes, of course. Any aid that we can get from China, which is part of BRICS, which we are part of, we are willing to take it in. Reminding delegates that this is just an aid. We are not like welcoming the Chinese government in. We're not taking in their economic system or anything. We're just welcoming their help and their aid in this horrible, horrible situation.
Mr. President, do you agree that the US's invasion is a two-faced claim that hides its intentions of colonizing the country behind the claim that this quote-unquote intervention will assist the country economically?
Yes, I believe that due to the US's past actions, especially in the Middle East, this sudden invasion for resources is definitely a way that they could use to eventually colonize the country in the future.
Could the president of South Africa please confirm that the cooperation occurring between South Africa and China, which the US has used as justification for invasion, happened with the consent of South Africa?
Yes, because we are part of BRICS.
Does the South Africa president agree that USA actions are completely against the UN principles and that, most important, go against everything this meeting spraying, evidence a colonist action?
Yes, I believe that the US's action was completely out of proportion and blown out of proportion. The US should definitely have taken a more peaceful approach to this, if they even could. You could definitely talk to the UN first, and this is completely against all values that we hold in the UN.
Motion to follow, order.
Does the president think that this US invasion will spread to other countries? What would you recommend other African nations do?
Well, I sure hope that the US doesn't take such a blown out proportion action. The US should definitely be not invading other African countries. And as a country that had just been invaded by this horrible Western power, I would say to other African countries to get aid in any way that you can, because the US is a huge military power that cannot be denied. So try to protect yourself militarily and get economic help from other countries.
Mr. Ramaphosa, don't you think that it's a completely incompetent action by the USA to completely destroy our political and our political aid and economical aid and our somehow of accordance to relations and to invade our country, threatening a military
a military intervention with no means. Don't you think that this is an incompetent action?
Oh, yes, definitely. The US invading a country with absolutely no means just for fun or whatever is completely unacceptable. Again, I would like to remind all delegates that South Africa is part of BRICS. It's not only just South Africa and China, it has other countries involved, and we were doing just fine in our own economic system, in our own military thing, and I think it's a completely incompetent and unacceptable action that the US has taken.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. President.
Is the president of South Africa not aware that there is no control whether or not China will implement a communist government in South Africa? And if the president is aware, is the president also aware that by allowing communism to penetrate in your country, you will be cutting relationships with several economic powers that are part of NATO and will end up possibly like the Democratic Republic of Korea with no economic relations with the entire world? Because that's the only way to maintain a communist nation in present times.
Well, first, I would like to say that we do have some control over China implementing a communist economic system in our country. Me, the president, and the entire government of South Africa will be working against that because that is not what we want at any point. We just want aid against a powerful military that has invaded our country, and we, as a southern power, even though we are very powerful, do not stand up to the US, and we would like to protect our nation and our people and our resources and environment. And yeah.
President, the delegation of Turkey would like to know your opinion on the concept of China being a neo-colonialist power by implementing and expat enclaves in countries who are in its debt.
Sorry.
What is the president's stand on China being on the concept of China being a colonialist power by exploiting countries that are in its debt?
Well, we don't believe, the Union of South Africa doesn't believe that China is a neo-colonialist power. And we also would like to say that, yeah, we don't believe that China is a neo-colonialist power. I don't think that China exploits the countries that are in debt to them. Yeah.
And for a follow-up?
How can the president of South Africa position itself against the United States without any hesitation when the US has only provided aid and support to South Africa and is only attempting to protect it from communist threats?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that the United States is not part of the BRICS, so, and also, you invaded our country by no means, with no reason, for fun. So we would just like to say that this whole thing is totally unnecessary, and that, again, I would like to mention, even if China attempts to implement a communist economic system, we from the government of South Africa will not be allowing that, and we are trying our best to keep our system as it is. We don't mean to make any changes or follow China or whatever. We just want help against you because you invaded our country with by no means. The delegation of USA.
Thank you so much. Please speak up. Delegate, unfortunately, we are on a time crunch. But yeah, everybody give a big round of applause to Mr. Ramaphosa. Thank you for being with our committee. To open us. Okay, guys, there's actually a timed crisis. We are on a really big time crunch. So speakers list unfortunately will not be in order.
Are there any other motions in the House? 20 minutes unmoderated caucus. Okay, delegates.
Delegates, just for you to know, for the time crisis, you guys have until 5 o'clock to develop a resolution that will actually like solve the crisis at hand. If no resolutions are passed by then, we will see what happens.
Starting now.
Everyone. So here we have the delegation of China. What is your name?
Camille,
And what committee are you in?
Political Council.
And do you have anything to say about the crisis that is going on right now?
Yes, the delegation of the People's Republic of China is absolutely appalled at the current situation. The United States has completely violated international law and the concept of state sovereignty. This delegation believes that the USA should both be tried in front of the International Court of Justice, as well as President Biden and all military officers taking part in this operation should be tried in front of the International Criminal Court for committing the crime of aggression. And as a final remark, the People's Republic of China would like to add that in accordance with the words of President Xi Jinping, if the US does not leave South Africa in the next 24 hours, China will intervene militarily in South Africa to defend the sovereignty of its ally.
Thank you, delegation of China. Thank you.
Gostaria também uma resolution. E aí, eles vão acabar com o conflito. E a China prometeu que em 10 anos vai ter a obrigação de tudo que ele comprou e dominou da South Africa para South Africa.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Joy Opini.
Okay, who are representing this conference?
This conference, I'm the delegation of Turkey.
Okay, so you're doing political council. Okay, so could you give us a background about what this is?
In this topic, in this committee, we are discussing neocolonialism and its effect on Africa specifically. As Turkey, we have also been a part of a colony, a part of the Ottoman Empire. And in so many ways do we see how we are affected in today's society, all the restrictions that are put on us. And this is the same for Africa. One of the notorious ones is the CF franc, which is the currency used in sub-Saharan Africa, allowing all countries in sub-Saharan Africa to use a currency that isn't even from them. It's this European. It's a way that the Europeans have still managed to keep their hands on Africa. And it's time it comes to an end. It's time Africa is heard. It's time Africa got its independence. At the moment, there has been a crisis. USA and China are having a proxy war in South Africa. And even though delegates may side with China, others may side with USA, the delegation of Turkey truly stands with condemning both countries for their actions. Be having wars in other countries, it's illegal, guys.
Great, thank you for giving us this information. So for viewers that are not aware of what this conference is about, could you please tell us what is the difference between the political council and other types of conferences?
Well, in the political council, we talk politics. It's just that simple. When we're talking about conflicts, we discuss all the actions that are done by countries. But when we are in the political council, we stand to look at the politics behind all actions made by countries. Why they do it, how they do it, how it's affecting other people. Neocolonialism itself, it's a concept. It's inside it are various things. However, in other committees, you'll be discussing simple actions that could all add up to lead to colonialism. For example, the current action of USA and China fighting in South Africa will be considered a Security Council topic. However, we don't discuss the conflict itself, rather we discuss the intentions behind them.
Great, thank you for your contribution.